Yes, that's my recent blood work showing my testosterone at 18.6, and the range is 7.6 to 31.4. So I'm sitting right in the middle, not low, not high, average. And a lot of people would say you should optimize that, man. Like you should get that to the upper end of the range to feel your best. And every few months, I get a message from someone in their 40s who says, "Hey, should I get on TRT?" And he hasn't done blood work yet. He hasn't optimized his lifestyle. He's doing all the things that make him feel crappy, which is why he feels tired. His gym numbers are stocked. Maybe he has a body that started this and looks jacked now because it's pretty easy to get. And I could probably go on this tomorrow. I could find the right doctor to prove it because clinics exist that love handing it out. And here's why I won't do it. Not because it's bad. It's not for guys with like real clinical hypogonadism. That's a big word. It's life changing. Right? If someone's below the reference range I shared below previously, or just hovering above it, and they feel like crap, they have no libido, they're gaining body fat, they don't understand why, then absolutely. I just personally, I've ran the numbers, and the trade off for me, at least at this stage of my life, isn't worth it. So let me walk through what this means. Okay. So quick biology lesson, like 30 seconds or less. Like testosterone is measured in range because normal isn't like one number. It's that spectrum I talked about. And mine's 18. And this is Canadian numbers, by the way. And bottom of the range is 7. Top is 31. And you hear middle of the range and think that means mediocre, but I'm 41. It means my body's producing testosterone the way it's designed to at my age. And it doesn't hold me back at all. Like right now, I'm dieting and dropping fat 3 inches off my waist in the last 2.5 months or so, which is right on pace with what I've always been able to accomplish when I do things right. And my libido's fine. Honestly, it's probably overkill according to my wife. So this exists to treat men who are genuinely low with the symptoms to match, like fatigue that doesn't respond to sleep or training. You don't want to work out. You're depressed, almost feeling, which can be a variety of things, but it could be tied to your hormones. Maybe you're losing muscle mass or gaining weight around the middle and not sure why. Then absolutely get blood work like I did. And if it's super low, talk to your doctor, have a real conversation. But if you're the majority of people who are just kind of average and want to be optimized, you don't have to do that with a needle. Okay? Because that's a lifelong medical protocol. As soon as you start injecting it, it shuts down your natural production. And if you do choose to come off later, it can be a really rough ride to get back to normal if it even happens at all. So the first trade-off is the hematocrit. So that's basically how thick your blood is, how much red blood cells you have. And it's okay to have that to a point, but that could obviously create cardiovascular risk if it's chronically elevated above the normal range. So up to 2/3 of men get thick enough blood on testosterone to be a potential problem. It really varies. If you're following your doctor's prescription, you're injecting with a regular cadence and at a small enough dose, then it's likely not going to be a problem. The poison is in the dose, like anything. But one long-term study on this found the risk of hitting like concerning blood thickening levels was around 10% after the first year, as much as 40% after 10 years of therapy. So then you got to start making regular blood donations to keep it managed, and that's a pain in the butt. But for the most part, it's not an issue early on. It's not an issue if you keep your cardio plan regularly in place and you don't increase the dose beyond what your doctor has recommended. Okay. So why does this matter? Well, it's harder on your heart, raises your risk of blood clots, like deep vein thrombosis, even stroke. And once your hematocrit crosses that 54th percentile, you're supposed to pause therapy, get blood drawn, like medieval bloodletting, just to bring levels back down. And there's trade-offs to obviously regular donations too, where you drop your iron levels and so on. So that's one problem that certainly I'd like to avoid. Number two, though, is more common with the average person, is the estrogen problem. Okay, so believe it or not, testosterone over and above converts into estrogen in your body. It's called aromatization. And if you add a bunch of testosterone from the outside, now you're adding more raw material that can get converted into estrogen. And it's more common if you've got a lot of body fat. fat cells are estrogen churning machines, and they will convert a lot more of this active testosterone you're injecting into estrogen. And that obviously creates mood swings, water retention, even gynecomastia, breast tissue growth. And then your doctor might suggest you take a drug to inhibit that aromatization. You're calling it AI. And then that could drop your estrogen too low. And then you tank your libido, your joints are in chronic pain, and it's like you're playing doctor, right? And hopefully you've got a good doctor, because that can create issues. So what I would suggest, if you're somewhat low clinically, but not so low you're out of the normal range on testosterone, get your lifestyle fixed, get your body fat down to a healthy level, and then if things have not improved, then introduce this exogenous testosterone. Because if you put it into a system that's broken, it could create more problems than it's worth. The third trade-off, hopefully this is all making sense so far. Drop a 1 in the chat if it is. This is the big one for me though. When you take testosterone, like exogenous testosterone, your brain notices. It tells your testicles to stop producing it on its own, because why bother? There's already enough in the system. It's called HPTA suppression. Happens fast, within 2 to 4 weeks of starting. Now, the longer you're on it, the more likely you're going to shut down your system potentially for good. But recovery is possible. Like they've shown people that stop therapy, they use what we call like a post-psychotherapy. I'm not that familiar on it, but like Clomid, HCG, to get the natural production going again. You can take these drugs for a short time. That can get your system back online. But some people never recover. Especially the older you are, the less likely you are to ever get back to where you, and you have to grind it out. It could be upwards of a year where you're just feeling like total dog crap, waiting for your natural testosterone to kick back in. So recovery isn't guaranteed. And like I said, it gets harder the longer you've been on and the older you are, because the cells in your testicles become less responsive over time. So might be luck of the draw, you might feel better right away. Majority who come off never quite get their natural levels back to where they were before. And if fertility matters to you, we certainly want to have that conversation, because you can't get someone pregnant, most likely, if you're on TRT for a long time. All right, so that's the part nobody puts in the fine print with the before and after photos, those 3 trade-offs. And for me, if I'm honest, I'm not chasing more muscle size. Like I'd love to add some lean muscle. Don't get me wrong, I'm working hard, but I'm not like obsessed with like being a pro bodybuilder. 40 plus, 2 kids. My goals are certainly strength, staying lean, and at times I get leaner because I want to. Just being functional though, right? Being able to play rec sports, being around for my kids, having the energy. And TRT isn't really for me, I don't think. It's for someone who has a real deficiency. And it's not a shortcut, unfortunately. I find day to day I feel great for now. So if I notice some real issues, then I would probably explore this more seriously. But you have to realize you're trading like a quick fix, and it's not that, for years of blood monitoring every 3 months, like estrogen management, like I talked about, a real shot of like shutting down your system for good. And if it's just purely driven by aesthetics, probably not worth it, right, for the average guy. Okay. So if you get blood work done, your doctor says you're low, and he suggests potentially going on TRT, have the conversation with those you care about, and maybe it could be a real game changer for you. But just because your buddy did it on the black market, like ask yourself what you're actually trying to fix. Most of the time, your hormones are aided or abated by what you're doing everywhere else. Your calorie intake, your protein, your sleep, your steps, your consistency, all the boring stuff. Fix that first. It's cheaper, it's reversible. For most guys, it works just fine to get you to normal, slightly above average, and you will not be limited by your hormones in that case. All right. So if you want the framework I use with my own clients to fix the boring stuff without the expensive body scans or ongoing treatment, I'll put that link below, or just send me a direct message with the word big 5 and I'll send it over. Otherwise, we'll see you on these calls again soon.